I want to talk today about the stuff that's been happening between 4chan and Tumblr. So recently, Tumblr, a website you've probably heard of, has been experiencing some technical difficulties due to the actions of some members of 4chan, another website you've probably heard of. So here's what happened. On June 9th, a blog on Tumblr posted this slide outlining a plan to carry out a raid on 4chan. Basically, the plan was to get together on the 4th of July and spam the site for a few hours as a form of protest against the sort of stuff that sometimes goes on at 4chan. And that went about how you'd expect it to go. So in case you're not familiar with 4chan, they have a tendency to overreact to this kind of stuff. They periodically ruin people's lives. So 4chan responded to Tumblr by flooding Tumblr with spam. Okay, I'm sure I left some things out, but that's more or less what's been happening. Tumblr attacked 4chan, 4chan responded by attacking Tumblr. And anyways, the interesting part of all of this isn't when the various site raids happened. The interesting part of this is what it all means, which is something that I am about to tell you. Okay, so people keep talking about Tumblr and 4chan like they're actual individual people who got into a fight with each other. But that's not how it is. Tumblr and 4chan are big sites with lots of different people who act lots of different ways. But it's just so much easier to talk about this like 4chan and Tumblr are people. I mean, even I'm doing it, and I'm about to tell you why it's something that you shouldn't do. Okay, so at this point, some people are probably thinking, so what if something that we're saying isn't technically exactly correct? Well, the thing is, when you refer to something like 4chan or Tumblr like it's a united entity long enough, people eventually start to think that it is. They start to think that everyone on Tumblr hates everyone on 4chan and vice versa. But again, that's not how it is. And this effect that I'm talking about has implications for the world outside of the internet, by the way. This is part of the reason that some Americans assume that all Middle Easterners are out to get us. I mean, we talk about Middle Eastern countries like their citizens are united in what they think about America. Even if you don't consciously think that all Middle Easterners are the same, this is the type of thing that registers with you on a subconscious level. The way that you talk about something affects the way that you think about it. I don't really know what can be done about this sort of problem. I mean, we're not going to change our language anytime soon. I guess just be aware that human groups are very, very complicated things. Like, really, really complicated. Especially, on the internet. Remember, there's not much organization in either of these groups. So if a small number of people on Tumblr want to raid 4chan, there's not really a system in place to stop them from doing that. I mean, this whole conflict probably didn't involve more than 5,000 people, and we still talk about it like the sites are at war. As time goes on, internet groups like this are going to get more and more powerful, and conflicts like this are going to be more and more important to the mainstream news. So I think it's important that we figure out how these things work. Also, it's pretty amazing how quickly everybody got over this. I mean, I'm posting this video less than 2 weeks after it happened, and most people will tell you that the fights are over. Also, there are some interesting questions raised by this 4chan Tumblr thing. Was 4chan justified in attacking Tumblr? Most people would say yes. I mean, Tumblr did start it. But the thing is, the attacks on Tumblr were a lot more severe than the attacks on 4chan. 4chan was down for 45 minutes, but large chunks of Tumblr were covered in porn and gore for a couple of days. Some famous Tumblr blogs got hijacked, and a couple of people had their faces photoshopped into less than PG images. Porn, I'm talking about porn. That seems pretty severe, but you have to understand, on 4chan, porn and gore are pretty common. So who should we blame for all of this? Should we blame anyone? That's not a rhetorical question, by the way. I want some answers to that. Also, maybe you can tell, but this is my first YouTube video, so I know it sucks, but